For decades, the name Seagal meant one thing: bone-crunching, Aikido-fueled Hollywood action. Steven Seagal was the master of the wrist lock, the quiet dispenser of brutal justice. His on-screen persona was so tied to his real-life 7th Dan black belt that the line between the character and the man just blurred, creating a mythic figure who was both a movie star and a lethal weapon. At the same time, another icon reigned. Kelly LeBrock, a supermodel and actress, was the fantasy woman of the 1980s. As the star of Weird Science, she was literally the perfect woman brought to life. Her line, "Don't hate me because I'm beautiful," became a pop culture catchphrase. One was the embodiment of hard-edged masculine action. The other was the epitome of feminine screen magic. Their daughter, Arissa LeBrock, was born directly into that blinding spotlight, seemingly destined for a life on runways and red carpets. But the next chapter of the Seagal legacy wasn't going to be written on a movie set. It was going to be forged inside a wrestling ring through pain, failure, and a comeback that no one, least of all her own father, saw coming. Steven Seagal was one of the most dangerous men on screen, but he always saw his daughter, Arissa, as a model. He was about to find out she was even tougher than he was. This is the story of the one moment that changed everything. To understand the shift in Steven Seagal's perception, you first have to get the world he saw his daughter in. Arissa LeBrock grew up under the colossal shadows of two very different legacies. On one side, the unshakable martial artist. On the other, the world-famous supermodel. It's a combination that almost guarantees a life in front of the camera, and for years, that's exactly the path Arissa walked. She stepped into modeling, but did it on her own terms, becoming a prominent plus-size model and a voice for body positivity. This wasn't just a job. It was a crusade for acceptance in a high-fashion world that often ignored different body types. Her journey was even documented on the Lifetime reality show Growing Up Supermodel, a title that perfectly summed up the pressure she faced. This was the Arissa that Steven Seagal and the world saw, a beautiful, successful woman navigating the often superficial world of fashion and reality TV. It was a world of photo shoots and runways, the polar opposite of the raw, unglamorous world of combat her father knew so well. In Seagal's world, respect isn't given. It's earned through discipline and thousands of hours of grueling training. His art, Aikido, is a complex system of joint locks, throws, and using an opponent's momentum against them. The idea that this same warrior spirit could exist within his daughter, the model, seemed a world away. He saw her on magazine covers, not training mats. But while the world was looking at the supermodel's daughter, a completely different fire was being stoked just beneath the surface. While one part of her was conquering fashion, another part of Arissa felt the undeniable pull of her father's world. But it wasn't Hollywood fight scenes. It was the call of legitimate combat. The martial arts gene, it turned out, was very real. Arissa began training, not in her father's art of Aikido, but in one of the toughest martial arts on the planet, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. The BJJ mat is a place of brutal, humbling honesty. It doesn't care about your last name or your fame. This wasn't a casual hobby for Arissa. She dedicated herself to the grind, training at the renowned Paragon Jiu-Jitsu and Kickboxing Academy in California. She didn't just train, she competed, winning tournament medals and proving she had the heart of a real fighter. This unique combination of a high-fashion background and legitimate martial arts skill made her a fascinating prospect. So, in December of 2019, the call came. Arissa LeBrock was invited to a multi-day tryout at the WWE Performance Center in Orlando, Florida. This was the golden ticket. For a man like Steven Seagal, who built his identity on real combat effectiveness, this was a critical moment. His daughter was stepping into an arena where authenticity, however theatrical, is key. She had the BJJ background to give her a legitimate athletic foundation. She was ready to prove she was more than just a name. But then the dream hit a wall. The WWE tryouts are notoriously brutal events designed to push athletes to their limits. Arissa was prepared for the pain, but somewhere in that high-stakes environment, her journey took a sharp, downward turn. While she has confirmed she got hurt shortly after the tryout, the specifics have remained private. What is clear is that the opportunity vanished. The hype evaporated, and what followed was a period of darkness, silence, and crippling self-doubt. The story of Arissa LeBrock, the wrestler, had seemingly ended before it even began. She later admitted this period took her to the lowest point of her life, stating, "I realized that I had become comfortable in the darkest, worst place in my life." For most, the story would end right there. But in wrestling, the best stories are always about the comeback. After the setback and the long road to recovery, Arissa's wrestling story should have been over. But her story of resilience was just getting started, and it all began with a phone call from a man who knows everything about fighting under the shadow of a legendary father, Dustin Rhodes. Dustin, son of the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, is a legend in his own right. If anyone could understand the weight of a famous last name, it was him. He heard Arissa's story, the promising tryout, the setback, the silence, and he saw untapped potential. He extended a lifeline, inviting her to move from California to Austin, Texas, to train at his acclaimed Rhodes Wrestling Academy. It wasn't a shortcut. It was a second chance, offered at the exact moment she thought they were all gone. That call was the jolt she needed. She later said, "When I got the call from Dustin, I realized that I had become comfortable. It was time for me to give every ounce of passion within me to professional wrestling." Arissa packed her bags and threw herself completely into the craft. The Rhodes Wrestling Academy is a world away from the polished WWE Performance Center. It's an old-school dojo, built on hard work and respect. Here, Arissa wasn't a celebrity's daughter. She was a student, a rookie learning from a master. Under Dustin's guidance, she began rebuilding herself, not just physically, but mentally. She worked with personal trainers to get all her ducks in a row. This is where she learned to translate her deep knowledge of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu into the unique language of professional wrestling. Her BJJ wasn't just a fun fact anymore. It became the bedrock of her in-ring style. Dustin Rhodes was blown away. He saw the work she was putting in when no one was watching. You could hear the pride in his voice when he spoke about her, saying, "She's doing a great job, but this is only the beginning for her." That's high praise from a man who has seen it all. He then made a bold prediction. Pretty soon, the whole world's going to be talking about Arissa LeBrock. After months of this quiet, difficult work, her moment of truth had finally arrived. In March 2023, at a student showcase for the Rhodes Wrestling Academy, Arissa LeBrock made her way to the ring. This wasn't a massive arena under the glare of TV lights. It was an intimate setting, in front of a small, passionate crowd. When she made her entrance, she wasn't a model. She wasn't a reality TV star. She was a survivor. She was a professional wrestler. The bell rang. And in that moment, the years of doubt, the pain of her past, and the shadow of her lineage all melted away. Reports from that showcase described a performance that was powerful, dominant, and technically impressive. She didn't move like someone playing a wrestler, she moved like a predator. Her style wasn't flashy. It was brutally efficient, a terrifying mix drawn directly from her martial arts background. A charge from her opponent was met with a precise, snapping front kick to the gut, or a stiff forearm smash. She moved with a chilling economy of motion, seamlessly transitioning from striking to grappling. She would control her opponent with an ice-cold precision that felt eerily reminiscent of her father's own on-screen prowess. There was an instinctive control that can't be taught in a few months. It's either in you or it isn't. She smoothly transitioned from takedowns into submissions, her BJJ skills on full display as she applied an armbar with terrifying technical correctness until her opponent had no choice but to tap out. This was the moment. For anyone watching who understood the unforgiving reality of combat, the realization was instant. This woman wasn't riding on her family's name. She had taken the raw, combative essence of her father's legacy, filtered it through her own brutal training, and forged it into something entirely new, something entirely hers. And in that moment, Steven Seagal, the Aikido master, surely didn't see a model in the ring. He saw a warrior. He saw a fighter. He saw his daughter, not following in his footsteps, but forging her own violent, glorious path. Arissa LeBrock's journey is the ultimate story of earning a legacy, not inheriting one. She could have easily coasted on her famous name. Instead, she chose the grinder. She chose the brutal, humbling world of the training mat and the unforgiving squared circle. She faced a setback that would have made most people quit, and she didn't just come back. She came back stronger and more focused than before. She has transformed herself from Steven Seagal's daughter into Arissa LeBrock, the professional wrestler. She isn't just trying to be a wrestler. She is a wrestler, period. And just as her mentor Dustin Rhodes predicted, the world is starting to talk. Her story is still being written, built not on her parents' fame, but on her own incredible hard-won resilience. The question is no longer if she belongs. The only question now is, what's next? Her story is playing out in an era defined by legacy stars. Will she eventually return to the global stage of WWE to finish the story that started at that fateful tryout? Or will she join her mentor Dustin Rhodes in AEW and shake their women's division to its core? Let us know your dream scenario down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the most compelling stories in wrestling. Thanks for watching.